Hi, and welcome to my guide for Final Fantasy XIV's unique content for Blue Mage called the Masked Carnival. This is unlocked by completing all the Blue Mage job quests up to level 50. For this video, we will be covering the first 10 trials. Before we begin, I want to stress that I am not using a lot of spells. What you see in this video is the bare minimum required to be successful in these fights. In some cases, it is easier to add some other spells to your loadout if you are still struggling with a particular fight. There are some spells I won't mention in the fight strategies, but I urge you to have on your hotbars at all times. Flying Sardine for ability and interruption, Diamondback for a huge shield, White Wind for healing, and using Etheric Mimicry on a DPS for your DPS stance. Now for the fights. We'll start at the very beginning. Number 1, All's Well That Starts Well. This is a very straightforward fight that should end rather quickly. The fight consists of 2 Arena Slimes and an Arena Dullahan. The spells I suggest are Ram's Voice, Ultra Vibration, and Hydro Pull. The fight is literally walk up, use Hydro Pull to gather the 3 enemies together, use Ram's Voice to freeze them, and then Ultra Vibration to win. Here's how it looks. Next up is number 2, Much Ado About Pudding. There are a few ways to tackle this, but I'm going to bring up the most time-efficient one. This fight consists of a number of pudding enemies spread between 2 acts, each with an individual elemental weakness. This spell loadout will consist of the 3 from the previous fight, as well as adding Planecracker and Alpine Draft. So for Act 1, we're going to simply burn down each enemy using their elemental weakness and follow up Act 2 with the Ultra Vibration combo we used in the first fight. Here's how it looks. Next up is number 3, Waiting for Golem. Our sole enemy here is a golem named Zipacna. Unlike the previous 2 fights, Zipacna is immune to the Ultra Vibration combo, so we're going to have to beat him down normally. There are 2 abilities he uses that can be interrupted if you have Flying Sardine equipped. Earth and Heart, as seen here, which is avoidable, but leaves an AoE on the ground. And Obliterate, which hits moderately hard. Neither is a game breaker if they go off. As for the spell loadout, bring along water spells as he is weak to water. Protean Wave is probably the best to use, but any other is effective as well. Veil of the Whirl is helpful as it deals water-based damage when you get hit, so it'll help whittle down Zipacna's HP slightly faster. Here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 4, Gentlemen Prefer Swords. This is another straightforward 2-act fight. The first act pits you off against an arena wolf and 2 arena bats. The second act introduces an iron giant enemy named Kraos. The spell loadout is also straightforward. For Act 1, we will be using the Ram's Voice to lock the enemies in place while you burn them down with Glower. A fire spell may be added to take advantage of the arena wolf's elemental weakness, but it is hardly necessary. Act 2, we just beat Kraos with the Ultra Vibration combo with no issue. Here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 5, the Threepenny Turtles. Welcome to the first gimmick fight. You're up against 3 brotherly guild turtles that won't attack you, but their defenses are top notch. Anything you throw at them will barely scratch the surface. How to deal with that? Flat damage spells or death spells. That brings us to our spell loadout. It is entirely possible to use the Ultra Vibration combo to take out all 3 enemies if you stand halfway between the left and right turtle, at the very edge of the thunder field. If you miss one, do not fret, that is what tail, screw, or missile is for, though I'd suggest using missile as it's more accurate. Once the remaining enemies are at 1 HP, then use Ram's Voice to finish them off. Here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 6, Ice Society. As the name and enemy list suggests, the gimmick of this fight forces you to deal with gaze attacks. There is a way around them though, while minimizing downtime. The Arena Mandragoras use an ability called Teary Twirl. You want to be hit by this ability as it gives you a blind debuff. This blind debuff actually lets you dodge any gaze attack even if you happen to be facing toward the target, so you can attack the enemies to your heart's content with no drawbacks. So the spell loadout for this one? Glower. That's it. Or technically any other damage spell you want, but I still suggest Glower. Be careful though not to use it on the Mandragoras until you get the blind debuff, as the paralysis from Glower can prevent it from using Teary Twirl. Here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 7, a Chorus Slime. This is going to be the longest fight we have faced so far since this one is 3 acts long. I will start out with the spell loadout, then give the important details of each particular act afterwards. You'll want one attack spell, again I suggest Glower, but really the important spell for this series of fights is Sticky Tongue, and I'll explain soon why it is important. For Act 1, this fight is designed to be a tutorial for the remaining 2 acts. When a lava slime is damaged by a spell, it will attack with a white explosion. This explosion is a fire elemental attack. The explosion can also damage other enemies as well. Since the ice sprites are weak to fire, they will die in one hit. This is important for Act 2. Just make sure when you attack a slime, give yourself enough distance so you don't get caught in the blast. For Act 2, this is where Sticky Tongue comes into play. You will want to use it to drag a slime next to one of the 4 ice sprites, get clear, then attack the slime to take out the sprite by way of the explosion. Follow suit with the other 3 sets and you'll be done with this act. Again, I want to emphasize how wide that explosion is. Make sure you maintain your distance. For Act 3, your biggest challenge is safely defeating the 2 gladiatorial nodes planted behind the 2 walls. Much like you did with the ice sprites in the last 2 acts, you will require dragging the lava slimes next to the nodes and setting them off by way of an attack. I should note a few of the node's mechanics. While you are busy setting up the slimes, each node will be constantly charging an attack called Low Voltage. While it's not a lethal attack, it can hurt a lot, so hide behind a wall to dodge it completely. Once you have 3 slimes next to a node, attack one of them to set off a chain reaction and take out the node. Be sure to stay out of the line of sight of the defeated node, as it will hit you with an attack that will take you out in one hit when it falls. Now that we got the strategies out of the way, here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 8, a Bomb-edy of Errors. This is a 2-act fight revolving around bomb enemies. If you have not learned self-destruct by this point, you have a chance to learn it from the arena cherry bombs. For the first act, simply hit the arena cherry bomb in front and watch all the rest fall with it. The second act is relatively the same, except the arena progenitrix needs to be burned down. The only noteworthy attack it does is burst, which must be interrupted or it will take you down in one shot. Besides that, this is a relatively straightforward fight. As for the spell loadout, you should already have Flying Sardine equipped, but it is a vital spell needed to prevent burst from killing you. Alpine Draft is the best choice of attack due to Progenitrix's weakness to wind attacks, but any wind attack can be used. Here's how the fight looks. Next up is number 9, to kill a Mockingslime. This fight focuses on a black pudding enemy called Guimauve. The first thing I should mention is the spell Dart. It will leave a field on the ground where you were standing at the beginning of its cast. As such, try to stay near the edge of the arena if at all possible to give yourself more room to work with. Also, you need to interrupt Golden Tongue as it increases the magic damage Guimauve hits you with. As the fight goes on, puddings will gradually start appearing, one of each elemental weakness. It is best to clear these out as quickly as possible as you can get easily overwhelmed. If you are missing a particular element, the Ultra Vibration combo is an alternative to use. Be aware that the pudding ads can also cast Golden Tongue if they are left alive for too long. For the spell loadout, I had one of each element as well as Flying Sardine for the interruption. All of my choices were area of effect for the purpose of taking care of the pudding ads while still managing to put damage on Guimauve. Here's how the fight looks. And for the last fight in this video, number 10, A Little Night Music. This fight pits you off against an Iron Giant type enemy named Crom Dove. There are two ways to address this fight. The first way is easy, as the only thing you need to worry about is interrupting King's will and burning him down. The other way is not only slightly harder, but also rewards you with the achievement the harder they fall. So in order to complete the fight this way, there are a few things to be aware of. First, you must allow Crom Dove to successfully cast King's Will 3 times. One interruption will prevent him from casting it successfully, and you will have to start the fight over in order to get the achievement. Dealing too much damage too quickly may also prevent him from using it 3 times, as this has a way of unintentionally skipping mechanics. If you bring him down to about 20% HP and he still has not cast it the 3rd time, you may need to start the fight over. Also, for each time he uses King's Will, he gets an attack increase buff and a defense increase buff, both of which can stack up to 3 times. This will force the fight to drag out longer, and you will have to heal yourself from time to time. Once he has cast the 3rd King's Will, he will start casting Black Nebula periodically. This must be interrupted, as it will kill you if it goes off. As for the spell loadout, you'll need 1 damage spell, preferably something that isn't slashing, as he resists it, and you will need Flying Sardine regardless if you are going for the achievement or not. Here's how the fight looks if you're going for the achievement. Now that we have completed the first 10 fights, that unlocks the wallet key totem that teaches you the spell Moon Flute. which can be acquired through Wayward Gaheel-Jaw in Ul'dah. This is a vital spell needed to help clear further fights in the Masked Carnival series, which I will explain in further detail in my next video. I hope the information you gleaned from this video proved helpful in completing these fights, and as always, thanks for watching.